All right, all right, all right. Welcome to episode 6 of I Called That. This is our sports podcast. We talk Bears, Bulls, Cubs, and the adjacent sports leagues, and we get into college sports as well, football and basketball. I'm joined here with my co-host John Edelman. John, how are you today?
Hello, what is up? Episode 6.
Hell yeah.
Matt, always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Matt Couchy here. So we're going to get into the follow-up to last episode. Last episode, we built a March Madness bracket. It was Selection Sunday. We did our best to predict how the March Madness tournament would shake out. Today, we're going to walk through those results, and congratulations to Michigan. Go Blue.
Go Blue, Michigan pulled it off. I can say that in my free bracket wouldn't have won anything. I didn't do the submission. I had Michigan.
Oh,
Um, yeah,
wow.
so I got a nice little exciting flame of a email last night.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you picked the winner. And I'm like, what do I get? No. But regardless, it wouldn't have been a perfect bracket. But hey, we saw some teams go down that I don't think we thought were going to go down. That's what we're going to find out here when we review our bracket.
That's right. That's right. And I gotta say, I don't know if you remember this from the last episode, but I shared this anecdote back then, and I said I was all in on Michigan until I talked to our friend Dylan Brown, and he hyped up this injury to the backup point guard so much that it freaked me out enough to like not have them win. And I'm so mad at myself for listening to Dylan Brown about Michigan's injuries. Anyway, probably wouldn't have won anything either way, but still, I would at least have picked the champion, which is a bummer. But that's nothing you can do about that now. So let me do this. I'm gonna pull up the bracket that we filled out, and we can kind of talk at a high level on some of these areas. So first, I want to say we did not do very well. We ranked
um,
2.2 millionth. I don't know how many total there were, but that's not good. We
no.
scored total of 66 points. I think the max is 180. So yeah, definitely not close.
Well, we have a year to prepare.
That's right. We'll do better next year,
Uh,
hopefully. All right, let's finish. Let's start in the finals here, and then we'll look at the earlier rounds next. But so we had Arizona winning it all. Obviously, they lost to the winners, which was Michigan. Look at our final four though. We like completely whiffed. I mean, we got one out of four. Uh,
yeah.
we had Vanderbilt, Duke, Iowa State, and Arizona. Arizona did make it, but yeah, none of the others did. So big swing and miss there. I will say though, one of the segments I called that, my call was the South and the East are a lot harder than the West and the Midwest.
Yep, you did say that.
And I wasn't going to be very surprised if the one seeds of the West and the Midwest were going to make it all the way to the Final Four, even though I did not pick Michigan and I picked Iowa State instead. That was I called that from last segment. I don't know if you remember yours. Do you?
Um, yes, I called that was the VCU would beat North Carolina,
Hmm.
but I think the other one there was something with VCU and then something with Vandy.
Yes.
But Vandy, what they made it to the second round and then they lost.
Yeah, Vandy was up here somewhere. I don't know.
Which that's March Madness for you, you
That's
know.
exactly, exactly. All right. Well, what was your biggest surprise of the tournament as we kind of look through these results?
I mean, to be 100% honest with you, I am first round, right? First round, you're like, a lot of things can happen. I think from what I recall, there was maybe, I think, one major upset in round one, like one, like the Wisconsin High Point.
Yeah.
I think was one of the ones on the first day where like that shook the pot a little bit
Yeah.
for a lot of people with a 12 beating a five.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but outside of that, I mean, if you looked at some of the games, um, the second closest to that on day one, in my opinion, would have been, obviously Texas beating BYU and VCU beating North Carolina. But
Hmm.
not that's not as big as what that Wisconsin. That was probably my first like, oh wow, that changes things
Yeah.
with Wisconsin losing right away.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good call. Um, you know what surprised me the most? Well, number one, I think Iowa surprised me the most in terms of an individual team.
Mm.
Um, but I think I was a little bit surprised by how dominant the Big Ten was.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought they were good this year. I thought they were. I don't know if I called this out on the last pod, but I really thought there were like three echelons of Big Ten teams that made the tournament. There was the top echelon, which was Michigan. I think I had Purdue in there, and I think I had one other. Maybe it
I
was
think
Michigan.
it might have been Michigan State,
No, it was Nebraska. It was
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Okay.
Yeah. It was Michigan, Nebraska, and then it was either Michigan State or who was the team I just said?
Purdue.
Or Purdue, yeah. You know what? I think it was actually Michigan State because I thought Purdue was just the second echelon there. The second echelon I had Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois. And then the third echelon I had Iowa, I can't remember who else was in it, but there were like nine Big Ten teams, so two other teams with Iowa in the third echelon there.
Yeah, the
And
Big Ten had what, 6 teams in the Sweet 16?
yeah, something like that. Something like that. It was very, I mean, I think they had like, well, let's look here.
It
Uh,
was. I'm gonna see if I can name them. Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, Purdue, Michigan, Michigan State.
that sounds right.
6.
That sounds right. And then we had in the Elite Eight, we had Iowa, Illinois, Michigan, Purdue,
Illinois.
and Illinois. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Big Ten did really well. And part of me
They did
surprised.
great.
Yeah, part of me surprised just based off historical. Like, oh, I got a trivia question for you. When was the last? This is a trick question. What year was the last year the Big Ten won March Madness? We were in
I'm
high
gonna say it
school.
was in the. I'm gonna say it was in the. It was in early 2000s, but the team left the Big Ten.
You're close, man. You're really freaking close. You kind of figured out the trick question part. Technically, Michigan State, they won in 2000. But the reality is Maryland won in 2001, but they were not part of the Big Ten.
Oh, interesting. It
Yeah.
was that in between the transition?
Yeah, I don't remember what year they officially joined the Big Ten, but it was way this was before they did.
No kidding.
And they
That's
beat
really interesting.
yeah, that was the year they beat Indiana in the finals.
Well, I know that's how you remember that one.
Yeah, that's how I remember
Uh,
that one. Yeah.
the Big Ten did great this year. It was cool to see. Um, I think that as you got into the second round with a lot of these teams where like I think is ultimately part of the reason why we have 66 points in our bracket, um, is there was I mean, you're looking at 1 point wins, 2 point wins
Hmm.
on some big games. St. John, Kansas. Kansas lost by 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Iowa beat Florida in the second round by 1 point.
Oh, that was such a good game. Yeah.
Oh, such a good game.
Yeah.
So like I think moving forward, if we're looking at kind of like I guess I don't know if I would necessarily call it a trend, but if we're doing the bracket, we got to think about those top tier teams coming through that are going to make it to the second round, but that's where those 1 point, 2 point upsets will start coming in
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let's take a quick look at the first round. We actually fared pretty well in the first round in terms of like like I wouldn't say like a great showing, but a pretty good one. Like if we look at the West bracket to start, Arizona was an easy call. We called the upset Utah State over Villanova.
yeah,
We called High Point over Wisconsin, right? That was a big upset. We called that one. Arkansas over Hawaii wasn't a big deal. We called it though. Texas was a surprise to me this tournament. They did really well.
yeah.
Texas over BYU, we called that one. Gonzaga, we called that one. Miami over Mizzou, we called that one. All that I think we kind of, yeah, no, no. And then Purdue over Queens. On the
We were
East,
on the fence with that Miami Mizzou game.
yeah, because I think it was in St. Louis, is what I'm wondering. I
Yeah,
think,
we were on the fence with that.
yeah,
That we kind of
yeah,
last minute went with Miami on that.
yeah, you're totally right. I remember that now. On the East side, Duke, we called that obviously well, actually was closer than I thought. 6 point game against a 16 seed. That was freaking
Yeah,
close.
dude. Let's can we touch on that for a second? I
Yeah.
honestly during that game I was like, this is it. I was like, this is going to be the this might be the a bigger bust than when Purdue lost like 3 years ago
Yeah.
on the number one top tier team in the first round. Remember that when they had Zach
Yeah, I
Edey?
remember that. Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
was cheering hard as hell on that one.
yeah, I was like, oh my God, I can't. And so I was just having moments of like, this is it. Like, I would say 75% of people's brackets would have been done.
Done. By the way, so I was freaking out because every year I do like I think I told you about it, maybe I didn't. I do a DraftKings parlay for the first round, and I pick every team that has like a major like uh, point spread, right? And it's like 15 plus. All the teams that have a 15 plus point spread, I'd select them. So I had a 13 leg parlay going. And given the spreads, it's all money lines, right? So there's it's not a big multiplier. So you got to put a lot of money down if you want to get
Yeah.
any kind of return, right? So I had like 300-400 bucks down on this 13 leg parlay. And I'm watching this freaking Duke game, and I'm like, these motherfuckers are gonna screw it up for me.
Did it
Luckily
end up
not.
hitting?
It ended up hitting. Yes, luckily everybody did what they were supposed to, despite the close
Nice.
calls. Yeah,
You
yeah,
got a nice return.
yeah. It was okay. It wasn't great because it was again like these major spreads, and I was doing money lines, so the bonuses weren't that high. But yeah, every year, man, every year I do that, and I think I've hit every year. So
I'm gonna have to talk to you before the first round next year.
yeah, think about it.
Um,
Think about it.
yeah, it's that's a great strategy though. If you look at like the point differentiation before between the two teams.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like the
but
only
good for you,
round you can
dude.
really
That's
do that.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad Duke didn't.
They didn't blow it for me. Yeah.
Out of all the teams, the number one potential of winning. I'm not. How far did we take? We took Duke to the Final Four.
Yeah. Yeah. We had
Um,
them against Arizona in the finals.
yeah, so that's where things got a little bit iffy for us. But I mean, good for Michigan. They they clearly did the job. But where did we have? We had UConn, Michigan State,
UConn, we had,
UCLA.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we took UConn all the way down.
Yeah, let's go through this East region. Um, First round. So we talked about Duke. Ohio State, man, 2 point upset there. That was probably the worst Big Ten showing of all the Big Ten teams that made it. I forgot they were even in it.
Me too.
St. John's did work against Northern Iowa. We called the upset here. I'm surprised. Okay. Anyway, we thought Northern Iowa was going to pull that one off.
Yeah.
Kansas, Cal Baptist, close game, 8 points. But we did call that. Louisville, we had the upset here. We had South Florida upsetting Louisville.
What was
Um,
that final score? That was a 10-point game?
no, it was 79-83. It was a 4 point
Oh,
game.
close.
Yeah. Michigan State, we called them beating North Dakota State, which played out. Oh, this was a tight one. UCLA, UCF. We did call UCLA, who did win, but that was a 4 point game.
Yeah.
That was a
Central
good,
Florida. Always
yeah.
look out for them.
I know, right? They're always sneaky.
I'm pretty sure, I think their mascot's the Dragons.
I think,
Um,
I think something like that. Yeah.
they have like these really kind of really cool detailed jerseys, and they've always been like one of those teams that just kind of like wiggles their way in, man. And
Yeah.
like that's why I really thought there was a chance that, and it could have been. I mean, look at that. It was close.
Very close. Very close. Yeah. And then, of course, the runner-up UConn, or no, they weren't. Yeah, runner-up UConn against Furman. We called that. It was an 11 point game. So that's round one for East and West. If you go to South and Midwest, round one, Florida whooped on Prairie View. We called that. Clemson upset sorry, Iowa upset of Clemson. We called that. Iowa 67-61 to Clemson. Vanderbilt, we called them win their win over McNeese. Nebraska, we called that one over Troy. I mean, we did pretty good in the first round. I mean, we called North Carolina. Sorry, we called VCU upsetting North Carolina. We did call that 11 beating the six.
Yeah, I was excited about that one.
Yeah, yeah, I think you were really pushing on that one. Illinois beat Penn State, called that. Texas A&M beat St. Mary, called that. That's an upset, by the way, 10 being a seven. And then Houston being Idaho handedly, we called that too. So
Yeah, what
overall,
happened to Houston? Like Houston was talked about quite a bit
I
going
know.
into this.
They couldn't handle Illinois, man. Illinois is a good team. I was telling you, man, these teams that are like one of the things I was saying is these teams that are assembled through the portal, they're only gonna get better and better and better as the tournament progresses.
Yep.
They're gelling, they got more experience together, getting to know each other. So, Illinois is a good team. I mean, they've got the size, they've got the shooting, they've got the point guard that's now like a lottery pick for the NFL draft or NBA drafts. Yeah.
Who's
Uh,
yeah, what's his name? I loved watching him.
yeah.
Buzlik or whatever I think his name is.
Who?
Is that the guy? The
Kessler.
for the, that's who it is. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They were just fun to watch, man. I was disappointed that they ended up losing, but you know what? Like the cards didn't go as they may that day, but Illinois, they at one point they were down by 14 in that game, in that last game, and they came back and were pushing, pushing hard to get it together and try and win.
Yeah.
But they're just fun to watch. They're a fun team to watch, and I think that next year, yeah, look out. They might be equally as good, if not better.
Yeah. The Big Ten's gonna stay solid. I believe that too.
Full
Um,
disclosure, really quick. A couple minutes ago, I mentioned that I think that that team mascot is the dragon.
yeah, whatever.
Um, way off.
I gotta look it up now.
It's actually the Knights.
Okay.
Um, and
Uh,
so yeah,
it's
but there
kind
is
of
a team in the tournament that's the Dragons, dude.
yeah, but look, man, Knights and Dragons, they were around the same era, so you're not that far off.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
And
funny.
that's like a boring jersey
Yeah.
color.
I
Um,
I know what you mean though. Like I thought it was the Dragons too.
yeah, there, well, one day I'll think of who it is,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
um, anyhow, I just wanted to correct myself on that one because that was false information.
Because you're on the
Um,
record. You gotta, yeah, you're on the record, man. You gotta make
I'm
sure to
on the
correct
record,
yourself.
man, so I had to catch myself and make a change in my error.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Big Ten did great. Illinois was great. I was disappointed in. I was very surprised on Iowa's push.
Yeah, I want to come back to Iowa, but yeah, go finish your thought.
And but I was underwhelmed in some ways with Iowa State as they
Oh,
got further in the tournament.
yeah, they were disappointing, very disappointing. Well, let's talk about their bracket, the Midwest. Good segue. So Michigan dominated Howard by 20 points, almost 21. They actually Michigan had a dominant run the entire tournament.
The whole
Uh,
time.
yeah, this is the one. Okay, it wasn't Missouri, it was St. Louis, Georgia. They were playing in St. Louis. We felt
Yes.
that's why we felt St. Louis was going to upset Georgia. They did almost by, well, they won by 25, which is a beatdown. Um, Texas Tech, we called them over Akron. Bama, we called them over Hofstra. Tennessee, we called over Miami of Ohio. I mean, we were perfect here. Virginia, we called over Wright State. Kentucky, we called over Santa Clara, though we did wonder about that one. And that was a 5 point game, so we were right to wonder about it.
Yeah.
And then Iowa State, this was probably their one good game they had versus Tennessee State. How did we overall in the first round? Did we get them all right? No, 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 no.
Mm,
One, we got this. No, we did. I think we got them all right in the first round. Is that possible?
I don't
Oh, no,
know. No, we
no,
didn't.
no.
Close.
We missed a few. Yeah,
Like we had a good record in the first round.
yeah. Hold on. Am I wrong here? Yeah, I was reading this wrong. I was reading this wrong. We did call St. Louis.
Yeah.
We did not call Texas Tech. We called Akron. We were wrong there.
And
Uh,
then we were wrong on the Arkansas.
we were wrong on Bama too. We called Hofstra.
Yeah.
We did get Tennessee right. We did get Virginia right. We were wrong on Kentucky, Santa Clara. We did call Santa Clara. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. We actually did land on Santa Clara. That was a close one.
Yeah. That was a
Uh,
very close one. We did, I think we fared very well in the first round. Um, but my thing was like, that's again, you don't never know in March Madness, man.
Yeah.
That's the best part about it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard to have a perfect bracket.
Yeah.
Like why do you think there's not very many perfect brackets, if any?
Yeah. Are there ever
Um,
any? I don't even know if there are ever any.
I don't know. That'd be a really great thing to find out more about. Um, that'd be interesting to see if there has been and who it was.
All right, I just Googled it. No, a perfectly accurate March Madness bracket has never been verified in the history of the NCAA tournament.
Oh,
That's crazy, dude.
dude, that's what I'm talking about, man. That is nuts.
Well, but look, man, the odds are 1 in 9 quintillion.
Yeah, a
That's like
perfect bracket.
if you win a perfect bracket, man, you better be playing the lottery. You better be freaking like doing everything you can because your luck is on point.
Yeah, I think that statistic is like you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 times too.
Yeah.
That's
Well, look out, world.
yeah.
Our podcast is coming in hot next year.
We're gonna win them all.
Look out. We're going to be the first perfect bracket.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
All right, man. Let's talk round two. Round two. Duke TCU. We called that matchup. Duke ends up moving on. Kansas versus St. John's. We had Iowa's Northern Iowa, so it didn't matter here. Kansas
Kansas
lost
lost by
anyway.
2.
Yeah. South Florida. Nope, it was sorry, not South Florida. It was Louisville versus Michigan State. Michigan State moved on. We called that Michigan State victory, though it was against Louisville that we had it set up as. And then here, UCLA, UConn, we called that. We thought, nope, we did not call the result of that. The result of that was the opposite of what we called. We called UCLA winning. UConn ended up winning that one.
Yep.
Down the
Well,
south, Florida, Iowa, we call no, god damn it. I keep getting screwed up by these greens. We did not call that. We called Florida, but
that's a 1 point game.
that was probably the game of the tournament.
I couldn't believe that game. That was, yeah, that was one of them where I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that definitely stirred the pot in a lot of people's brackets, I'm sure, because Florida,
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah.
being as it may, no, nothing like Joakim Noah era, but they're still a good squad.
Definitely a good team. They won it last year. So
Hmm.
um Vandy, Nebraska, that was a tight one. Nebraska pulled off by 2 points. We had called Vanderbilt winning that one. VCU, Illinois. Illinois whooped that ass. We had them moving on. And then it was Texas A&M versus Houston. We called Houston, moved on, and they played Illinois. On the west side, on the
West
west
Side,
side, west side, this was like our best like area, the top half of the west bracket. We called Arizona versus Utah State with Arizona winning. We called Arkansas beating High Point. That was also a close game. I did not expect that one to be that close.
yeah,
Gonzaga going down against Texas. Did not call that. And Purdue handily, or by 10, not handily, but Purdue being Miami. So again, the top half pretty good, the bottom half mixed bag of the West brackets. On to the Midwest, Michigan banging St. Louis, called that. Texas Tech losing to Bama. We had neither of those team in here.
Texas Tech
Tennessee,
losing to Bama.
what's that?
Texas Tech losing to Bama, it was.
Yeah, yeah. Texas Tech got whooped, man. It was like 25
Yeah.
loss. And then we got the Tennessee Virginia one. We did not call that one right. Tennessee beat Virginia. And then last one here for the round of 32 was Kentucky versus Iowa State. Iowa State pulled it out. So that kind of, I think we covered all the round of 32s. Sweet 16. Sweet 16 got real hairy, right? Because
Yeah.
here's where Kansas lost. We had Kansas against Duke. No, sorry. Kansas lost last round against St. John. St. John banged with Duke. It was a 5 point game. Duke really had a freaking tight one until the first round was really tight for Duke. The second round they blew out. The third round was really tight again. Though they had
They,
injuries, right? Didn't they miss? Weren't they missing their center and like another player?
yes, that injuries did make it to be an issue for Duke. Not in that first round necessarily.
Yeah.
That was just people were shaking in their boots, dude, including
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. For the first round. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
Like they did have injuries though. Duke didn't. Um, I was very surprised. I wasn't impressed with Duke's March Madness performance this year at
Yeah.
all.
Me neither.
Um, Considering they have some really, really awesome stud players that obviously got them to that number one seed.
Yeah.
But I think there's the hype, right? Duke being one of those schools that has a strong March Madness championship history. You kind of get a little bit more hype on there. Same thing with a couple of those other teams, but Duke being, such a prevalent college program for so many years.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but There goes that March Madness heartbreak.
Yeah, that's why we love the tournament, man. So Duke versus St. John's. Duke wins that round of 16. You got Michigan State against UConn. UConn moves on. Down in the South, we had Florida, or sorry, we had Iowa versus Nebraska. Oh, I was excited about that game because these are two teams in the Big Ten that were like Nebraska's really good in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah,
This is a big time upset. Nebraska losing to Iowa. Illinois Houston, that was crazy. I did not think Illinois would beat Houston,
no.
but that was exciting for
That's when I was like, all right, Illinois. Not that I didn't think they were legit coming into the tournament because they were.
yeah,
Um, but once they were able to, move past these guys,
yeah,
I was like, okay, like we could potentially make a nice deep run
yeah.
into the championship and I mean pretty darn close.
Pretty close, man. And these Houston teams, they've been really good for the last few years. I think I did call out that the one nuance of this team from other teams is they had a freshman point guard. And Calvin Sampson does not like to play freshmen, though he had been playing the point guard all year. I mean, he's good. He's going to be a top five pick probably in the draft, NBA draft. But like, I thought that might be the one area that would kind of shake Houston, and it sort of did.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the South. Now in the Midwest, we got Michigan banging Alabama by 13. Iowa State choking against Tennessee.
Yep.
I mean, that was brutal for us because we had Iowa State in the finals.
From what I recall in that game,
Oh, in the Final Four.
from what I from what I recall with that Iowa State game, it was nothing was falling for Iowa State. Like their threes weren't draining. Their basic down low movement with layups. It was like it was spinning. It was just like it wasn't. You can kind of get the sense during that game that it just wasn't Iowa State's year.
Yeah,
Like something was just not falling
yeah,
for
yeah.
them.
Shots weren't falling.
Um,
Yeah.
which is tough. A tough pill to swallow a little bit because Iowa State looked real good, man. Like coming in.
I know, man. Well, I don't know if we covered this. Did we cover the East and the West? Sweet 16?
Yeah,
We did. Okay. Okay. Um, Elite Eight in the
Elite Eight.
East. So Duke losing by 1 point to UConn.
Yep.
Man,
One point.
just one freaking point. I think Duke was winning most of that game too, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yep.
A very late comeback from UConn, like free throws and all that crap at the end. Iowa and Illinois, what a game. I mean, what a matchup rather. Iowa, man, honestly, man, I know I'm in a minority given where we grew up, but I was hoping Iowa would win this game.
Yeah. I
I,
mean, they're legit.
yeah, it also would have been a great Cinderella story, like a 9 seed making it to the Final Four. That would have been so fun.
Yeah.
But I'm glad Illinois did well because they were also fun to watch. And frankly, I don't really have much of a horse in the race for either of those two teams, so it didn't matter too much. Though I did want Iowa that in that one.
Me and you both. I mean, I can't tell you that I follow Illinois basketball. Living in Illinois. I
Yeah,
pay attention, but I don't,
yeah.
I don't own an Illinois basketball t-shirt. I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
What you
or
mean?
any apparel, but it is Illinois and Iowa, obviously being uh very close Midwest, right? If you look
Yeah,
at those Midwest teams,
yeah, yeah.
thumbs up, Iowa, Illinois, all those other Big Ten teams were cool to see come through. But yeah, I mean Iowa,
I
they
mean,
could
look,
have.
I think even like having Iowa State back one round, right? Like, I think we had like, you talk about Midwest, right? I think we had like half the Sweet 16. I don't know. There was some ridiculous amount of Midwestern teams in the Sweet 16.
Yep.
It was like at least half, I think. But anyway, Michigan banged Tennessee. Uh, and up here we had Arizona beat Purdue. Purdue, I don't know what happened this game. I mean, I wasn't surprised they lost, but like they just didn't show up.
Yeah, that was another one of those games where you're like, ooh, they
Yeah,
are not, you can tell you can tell by watching all the players on the court where they
yeah,
kind of almost feel deflated in some ways.
yeah,
Like it's just not like they're like, and I'm not saying they didn't play their hardest. They played their hearts out, but you kind of get to the point where you're like, if you can keep up with this game plan, you're going to win the game because the game plan's been working for you the entire game.
yeah,
And you got, X amount of time left and you're like, oh, this is working. Let's not change our momentum.
yeah.
And it didn't fall, man.
I think
That's March Madness.
I think Arizona led start to finish that game. I'm not. I could be wrong, but I think they led pretty handily the whole game.
I think so. Yeah.
Which takes us to the final four. The final four. I mean, look, we had Duke, Vanderbilt, Arizona, Iowa State. Only one of those teams made it. Arizona. Arizona lost to Michigan in the Final Four. Michigan moves on to the finals. UConn beats Illinois. UConn in the finals. UConn, Michigan, and we see Michigan winning 69-63 over UConn last night.
Yep.
And that wraps up March Madness 2026. What a fun tournament.
It's so fun every year. I wish they did more of this. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's just such a cool thing. And I think it also brings a lot of people together. It brings all the fans out. I mean, it was, my mom who doesn't pay too much attention to these type things was even texting me like, how about Illinois? So it's kind of cool. Like, everybody kind of comes out. Um, and I just wish there was more, even if your team doesn't end up winning, it's
Yeah.
still fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's do this, man. Given the name of our podcast, let's make a bold call for next year's Final Four. This is
Okay.
like beyond way too early. This is like crapshoot because the portal just opened today. The teams aren't formed yet. So this is like pure guess. Who you got?
We're doing Final Four.
Final Four.
I'm bringing Illinois back.
Actually, let's do this instead. Sorry, let me switch it up. Instead of Final Four, let's do who are going to be the four number one seeds.
Oh, I like that. Oh gosh. Um, I'm just gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna go with I think Nebraska has a decent shot of being the number one seed. I think you might see Michigan come back. And then I'm tired of UConn and Arizona, man.
I know.
I'm tired, like, I want some other teams.
I know.
Um, I think Kansas might be back in the running.
Kansas and UConn are in the Big East, right? Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got one more. I mean, I would have to probably go with Arizona again.
Yeah. Okay, so say that again. Who are your top four?
Illinois, or I'm sorry, Nebraska, Michigan, Arizona, and Kansas.
So you got two Big Ten teams as the number one seed.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. I like it. Um,
A year in advance.
I know, right? I know. I like Michigan winning the Big Ten next year. I like them repeating. the Big Ten champs and winning the one of the one seeds. Really, really, really hard to root against Duke because they are practically a one or two seed every single year. So I'm gonna have Duke in there too. Um, I don't think North Carolina makes a big bounce forward despite their coaching change there, but they will be better. I know the SEC is going to keep making a little bit of progress, but I don't really know who's turning over on that side. So I got Michigan, I've got Duke, Michigan, Duke. Let's go ahead and throw Arkansas in there just for shits and giggles.
Ooh.
Michigan, Duke. I just want an SEC team in there. Michigan, Duke, Arkansas, and Michigan, Duke, Arkansas. It's either Arizona or UConn. I'm gonna go Arizona for one seed. Michigan, Duke, Arizona, and Arkansas.
All right, so here's what's going to happen. When we get to that point in a year, if one of if one of we're going to replay a clip from this one.
We gotta replay this. Yeah,
If one of us called it, that's going to go in the called it Hall of Fame for
I call
sure.
it Hall of Fame. I like it. I like
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
I called it Hall of Fame, no doubt. And there's video, documented, recorded proof that we have this conversation. So hey,
yeah,
1 year in advance,
that's right.
I like it. I
That's
like
right.
it. I like it. It's it's a long journey till we get to that point, but you know,
Yeah.
it I
Well,
miss it, man. I miss March Madness already.
I know, man. That's how I felt after college football season ended. I was like, man, I already miss it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Now we gotta wait.
I know. Now we gotta wait forever. Um, Real quick before we wrap up here, I'm trying to remember if there's been any coaching changes in the Big Ten, or if there are going to be. I don't think so. I think everybody's kind of come back, right?
I don't
Um,
think there's gonna be any major shakeups.
no, because the bottom teams were kind of expected to be bottom teams, right? Your Penn States, your
Like build your
Northwesterns.
programs.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
programs are, not necessarily in that category of like top tier.
Yeah, Maryland, they were rebuilding. So I guess the North Carolina with the coaching change, right? With Matt Malone joining there from formerly the Denver Nuggets. That's good for them. I mean, he won a championship with Denver, and then 2 years later he was fired for some odd reason. I actually thought Billy Donovan was going to take that UNC job. He's
I
going to
mean,
leave.
that would have been interesting.
Yeah, I thought he was going to leave the Bulls. Um, Who else? Any big teams? Any D1 big name school with a new coach coming next year? I
I
cannot think.
mean, I think something will happen. I
Yeah,
don't think something's gonna happen anytime soon, though.
nothing's been really announced except for the North Carolina one. You're right. Yeah. Okay.
Like I think we might start seeing some shakeups come like July.
Yeah. Yeah. That's late though. That's late for college.
It
But
is late. It is late.
but I do think we will see shakeups that we haven't seen yet. Well, man, that wraps up our March Madness bracket, our selection Sunday picks that we got wrong for the most part, but a couple right. Best pick, I guess, for us was Arizona that made it to the Final Four.
That's the
Um,
best pick. Uh, and hey, we're gonna give ourselves credit where credit's due. No one's ever gotten a perfect bracket.
nah, no one's got it.
So you know what? We might not have done as good as we thought we were going to do, but that's the fun of March Madness. And
Yeah,
hey, we picked some pretty solid ones though.
we did. We did. I'm not mad about our outcome here. I guess the
Yeah.
worst pick. What's the worst pick? It's got to be Iowa State, right?
I think Iowa State's probably our one where it throws us for a doozy because we brought them all the way down to the
Yeah.
Final Four.
Yeah.
That's probably one of them because they lost in the what, third round?
Yeah. They lost in the third round. Sweet 16.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we had a couple really great first round upset calls.
We did. We did. That High Point one is my favorite.
Yeah. A high point. I think we had St. Louis too.
Yes, we did. St. Louis somewhere over here. There it is up here.
Had St. Louis beating Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at that. See?
Fun season. Well,
Very fun season.
that's that on the topic. All right. Well, for for the podcast, look forward here. You and I talked a little bit about this before we were started recording, but there might be a little bit of a hiatus. This is episode 6. It's certainly not the last episode, but we are entering baseball season. It's May 7th, so it's pretty fresh. I don't want to cover NBA. I'm just so disappointed in NBA right now. It's just not a league that I'm interested in at this point, at this moment.
I don't have a whole lot to say about it either, so that
Yeah.
that works. It's just I haven't really enjoyed watching it.
No, it's not
Uh,
fun at all.
it bothers me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'll try and throw on some games, like just because I feel like watching basketball, and I'm just like,
Not feeling it. Not feeling it. I,
so
you
yeah,
know,
we're on the same page.
I saw a stat that said that baseball took over the NBA. MLB took over NBA as the number 2 most watched sport in the US. Do you remember like 10, 15 years ago when everybody was panicking about how like MLB was dying and they were losing the whole young generation wasn't interested in baseball and they were all freaking out. And then they enacted all those changes to shorten the length of the games, and they're still enacting some changes too. That really worked. It really worked for them.
I think it did, and I think that that pitch challenge that's new this year, um,
Yes, yes,
that and the fact that they utilize that and they change it right away.
yeah,
Like I watched one today. I watched part of the Royals game against the Indians, and Bobby Wood Jr., who's a great player,
yeah,
um, like knew right away that it was a ball, and he called it a strike. He looks at the manager and he's like, "They showed on the screen the challenge," and he was like, "It went right to 2-2 count when he was right."
yeah.
So like, I love that.
Well, dude, most of the players are right when they contest. It's like yeah, I don't know if you saw the Schwarber one on Phillies, Cal Schwarber. He got called a ball. It would have been it got called a strike. It would have been ball 4, a walk to first base. He challenged it. He didn't even wait. He started taking off all his crap and started walking to first base because he knew he was right. And he was. But yeah, the players know, man. It's the umpires they've just been
Yeah.
fucking up the game for forever. I love that rule too, man. It's so good for the game. I mean, it is so good for like accuracy of the game.
Oh,
Like you shouldn't
it's
win off of a
awesome.
bad call.
No, and it's like, could you imagine if that was something that was in place? What other stats and numbers might be?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that changes a lot of things when it comes to stats.
So much. I mean, even not even just wins, losses, but like perfect games, right?
Changes perfect games, changes your ERA, changes your WHIP. Like you got like you it's you the pitchers know it's going to be challenged. It can be challenged. So it's their goal to get it as precisely in that pocket as possible.
Yeah.
Well, that changes it because now it can be reviewed. So you really got to get it in there.
You know what? It also changes the catcher's game and his role, right? Because it's not framing isn't that important anymore because it's automatic.
Yeah.
It's automatically framed now. So you don't need a catcher who's a great like Contreras, Wilson Contreras, good offensive catcher. He just wasn't a very good guy behind the plate because he just wasn't good at framing the pitch.
No.
And now he's a first baseman, right? But like he would have had a much longer catching career, I think, if this was in place years ago.
Oh yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it. I also, speaking of cell phone services, thank you, T-Mobile. I have an MLB package thing,
Nice.
and they had a promo.
Nice.
Um, so shout out to T-Mobile for giving something kind of cool. But anyhow, I'm able to watch a lot of games except for the Cubs and the White Sox because I refuse to pay for Chicago Sportsnet and Marquee.
Yeah, I'm not paying for any of that either.
No.
I was talking to Dylan and he was telling me that he did splurge on the Chicago Sportsnet app. They already spend a lot with Xfinity, so they got a deal on it. The deal he got was $20 for the year, for the season. Or no, sorry, $20 a month for the season.
Oh, that's different.
That's not that good of a deal. And then he was telling me, I said, that's not a good deal. He was like, well, last year I didn't buy it and they wanted to charge me 40 because it would have been 30 and then I added the Bulls and they rounded up to 40. 40 a month to watch the Bulls and the White Sox lose their asses off all year long. Can you imagine spending that kind of money for that?
Uh,
I mean, it's not even a lot of money in like the grand scheme of things, but it's like it's just literally throwing your money away every month to watch those
it
two
really
garbage
is.
teams.
I just can't come to it, man. Like
Not either.
it,
Principle,
I
man.
would love to watch. I would love to watch the Chicago teams play baseball, but it's like I, you know, uh, I can't. Like I don't have like
Yeah.
it's my brain is not allowing me to make that decision because
I'm
it's
with
just
you,
like
man. It's the
it's
principle.
pointless.
It's the principle, man. I
It's
like
the yeah,
I'm not paying for something that's free or should be free. And
and I
also, I don't
it
even
upsets me.
it upsets me too. And what's the end game here? Because fewer and fewer and fewer people are able to watch these games. So you're gonna have fewer and fewer fans. What's your end goal here, guys?
And it's not helping. I can't. You know what I mean? Oh, it'll force people to buy tickets to come to the games. No, all those prices went up too. So it's like, this growing up here, we didn't always have to pay to watch Cubs and White Sox and Bulls. They were just on TV whenever they were on. You put it on the Cubs game, it was usually on the TV. WGN at noon on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, but now you got to get a whole new app on top of what you're already paying. It's greed. It's greed. It
So
bothers me. It's
yeah.
gonna ruin. Already ruining some things. But hey, that's why we can utilize ESPN and look at the replays.
Yeah. And you know what kills me the most is like these fucking teams that do it that are bad teams. Like the Bulls. The Bulls have no business being on a pay for app.
No.
That shit should be free. Like
Mm,
they should be paying us to watch their games,
yeah,
not
they
the
should
other
be
way
given.
around. It's
Yeah,
like it's brutal.
it's one of those things where like it doesn't make sense, and dollar signs are before decisions when it comes to that because that is just a strictly financial grab.
Yeah. Total capital.
There's no, there's people that they pay tons of money to balance out risk and decision making with marketing and decisions like that. And money got in front of that decision. Um, it bothers me, especially with the Cubs. It
Yeah.
bothers me probably more with the Cubs than it does with the Bulls because the Cubs aren't bad and they haven't been bad. They haven't been horrible in the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, they won 10 years ago. They won the championship.
Yeah. So like, but then you're going to come in and the Ricketts are going to come in and yeah, they did a great job around the stadium. It's beautiful. Awesome. But now if we don't want to come down there, we have to pay money to watch it.
Yeah.
That
It's
doesn't, that to me is just morally wrong.
yeah. Well,
Um,
they had such a great thing going with the TBS, WGN, like national broadcast. Such a great thing going. You got fans in Atlanta and like across the country. And
Florida,
yeah,
Florida, there's so many Cubs fans that
yeah.
retire and go to Florida.
And you just fucked it up. You fucked it up over greed. Like you could have continued to grow this fan base. Now they're just dying off and you're having fewer and fewer fans.
Yep.
It's just so dumb. It's just so dumb. They're gonna study this shit you watch in like 20 years. What not to do when you own a
Yeah.
sports franchise.
Right. What not to do if you want to gain more fans and popularity.
I wish I was rich as hell and I could own a franchise. That'd be really fun.
It'd be so fun.
If
It
you
would
could
be
own
there's
if you could own any franchise, what league would it be in?
That's a really awesome question. And I'm going to tell you what I think it would be just based on my pure excitement when I see people make it to the big show. Um, in any sport, but baseball. And I think it has to do with the dynamics of the process to get to the Major League Baseball level
Mm-hmm.
and what how like transparent and quick things can be adjusted
Yeah.
as far as like getting the call. Um, I don't know if you've ever seen the either ESPN has some videos, but like of baseball players getting the call.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. I've seen that. I love that.
And I mean, obviously they do that for all sports, right? When you get called up to the pros, sure. But I
Yeah.
think with baseball, there's something about it because there's so many games and there's so many teams and there's so many players. Like, think about that.
I know,
Like,
dude.
way more than like the next best thing is football, but there's so many different positions.
I don't know if
Uh,
football does football have more? They have to have more. Well, they don't. Not counting minor leagues. Yes, it's if you're not counting minor leagues, footballs are bigger teams. But if you are counting minor leagues, I think it's baseball. Yeah,
it's baseball, yeah.
yeah.
So like, and that's the thing, and I think it's just such an interesting thing. What about you? What would you go with?
That's a good question, man. I don't know. I probably would go baseball too, only because it's 182 game season, so like there's basically like it's there's always something, right? All summer.
Yeah,
I love the seasons they play in. I also love one of my favorite things about baseball. And by the way, I became a baseball fan later in my life. I was first a Bulls fan, and then I was a Bears fan, and then I was a Cubs fan. But what I love the most about baseball, man, is just like there is no better like live atmosphere, in my opinion. You're outside, it's green, grass everywhere. You know, there's hot dogs and beers and peanut butter, not peanut butter, peanuts. But there's just like, I don't know, man. It's just like when I think of going to a baseball game, I think of like, oh, this is going to be awesome. When I think of going to a football game, I think of the Bears experience going to Soldier Field, which sucks, right? So that's why
it's so
not football.
right, dude.
Yeah, not football
It
because the Bears,
sucks going
it's
there.
the worst.
Oh, you're
Ugh.
100% on point, man. And I think that is. I would have if someone was like, "What do you think couch you would pick?" I would probably say basketball.
Yeah,
But I also feel like there's the same thing as there's the smells like that you only smell when you're at a baseball stadium.
yeah.
The sounds, those are the only time you're gonna hear those sounds is at a baseball game.
And outside,
Um,
it can't beat being
when you're
outside.
outside, yeah, and it's like even the stadiums that have covers are you still feel like you're in a different.
Yeah,
There's more to it than a football stadium or a or like a hockey arena or a basketball arena.
yeah, yeah.
There's more to it. I agree with you,
But
and
also
I think
like
you get to be outside all day, every
all
day.
day, man. And then also like I've been to a number of different baseball parks, basketball parks, football parks too. I guess stadiums, not parks. But I feel like every NBA experience is very similar. Every baseball stadium's different. They're different. They don't even have the same measurements. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you get unique. Like, I love going to a White Sox game. I don't like the White Sox, but I love going to White Sox games.
Yeah,
It's the cell or whatever it's called now is like it's such a cool stadium. Walking around and like that whole like mezzanine level or whatever it is, it smells so good and there's so many different food options and it's great, man. It's really great. And
you
the
ever notice
Cubs,
that stadiums are like there's this thing. If I find it again, I'll send it to you. But like right before the season started, they did these promos of like new foods at stadiums, right? Like, so they did like new things at the White Sox park. Anyhow, I'm seeing more and more too. That's another cool aspect of baseball games. There's more of a variety of foods and interesting things that they come up with
Hmm.
that are extremely unhealthy,
Yeah.
but like they're there and someone came up with that and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
I've never seen that. It's like going to a county fair, dude, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, they have deep fried Snickers,
Totally. Totally.
you
I
know?
wonder, one thing I didn't think about until you were just talking just now is I wonder if some of that has to do with the fact that if you think about a basketball stadium, right? All their seats are padded. They've got like upholstery on it, right? Because it's indoors. None of the baseball stadiums have upholstery because it's outdoors. It's plastic usually. So I
Right.
wonder if part of the food thing is like, well, we don't want to sell that at a basketball game because they'll get on the seat and they'll mess up the seat and we'll have to replace the upholstery. I wonder if there's any of that. I don't
That's actually you went deep on that, dude. That's a good point.
know.
I was
Welcome to my brain.
everything just like I never would have thought of that. And then if you think about it, you're like, yeah, that's
Maybe.
probably again money. They're gonna be like, are we
Yeah.
gonna invest in these great food ideas or invest in a cleaning service to clean
Yeah.
the chairs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like yeah, that's super interesting. But the thing, the cultural aspect, I think when we talk about baseball stadiums is so relevant too. I will say the one thing that I am disappointed at in the last, I guess, 5 to 6, 7 years, that I hope gets better is the fights at baseball games.
Yeah. You see more of
Um,
those by you than by the Cubs, though. That's not a Cubs thing. That's a Sox thing.
yeah, and there's, I mean, LA Dodgers. There's a lot of
Mhm.
stands where there's like a lot of fights, and I'm just like that bothers me so much on a different level of like sportsmanship.
Yeah.
There's kids around, um, and you're arguing about what? And so like
Stupid.
you're
Yeah.
seeing more of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you
and
got, I
that's just
mean,
like
you're
that needs to stop.
you're spot on, dude. You're totally right. The problem is like sports fans are not the most classy people, generally speaking, Um,
No,
generally speaking. There's obviously great sports fans like you, right? But you oftentimes get like, you know, people who are very easily influenced when they've had a couple beers, people who aren't necessarily the most delicate or conscientious, they have a chip on their shoulder if their team's not performing the way they expect it, right? I don't know. I'm not.
it, yeah, I mean it's just obviously it doesn't happen everywhere and it doesn't happen every game, but it's enough to where like there's enough videos out there and it's just always just heartbreaking because there's always kids that
Yeah,
are there's always little kids that like you're ruining a childhood experience that this child and this family is having a moment with their children at a baseball game,
yeah,
which is supposed to be a rite of passage in some ways, right? As a kid,
yeah,
um, and that's just where about. But anyhow, hopefully they're doing a better job at combating those things. But with that, I think culturally comes a nice variety of different foods based on where you are. On my bucket list right now is I'm trying to go to Kansas City Royals Park.
Oh, interesting.
Um, yeah, I really want to go there. Um, and I've heard nothing but like really awesome things for the people that have gone. It's only about an 8 hour drive, but enough to where Kansas City being in our division,
Yeah,
um, you know, there's a lot of people that have
yeah,
been there, and
yeah.
every single person has said like, "Oh man, it's a cool experience. Like it's an experience, right?" So like
That's
to go
awesome.
into what you said,
Yeah,
different experiences at every stadium.
yeah, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, one stadium I went to this one for a game. I thought was really cool. Was the Mariners, the Seattle Mariners.
Oh wow.
That was really cool because it also overlooks their football stadium. So
Oh, cool.
we were like in a 300 level. We had a suite. It was like a business. It was a work thing. So we had this like catered thing. But yeah, from the suite level, you could see beyond the stadium. They have first of all, they have it faces like well, whatever side we were on, face the skyline, which is really cool. And then you can see like the football stadium, which is also really cool. And Seattle is just a beautiful city. I mean, there's mountains and shit everywhere. It's really cool. That was a nice experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, like you're not going to see that here.
Yeah. Right.
And that's like I think probably the coolest experience I had. I mean, I went to a lot of Angels games and a lot of Dodgers games as a kid because we'd go every summer when we go visit my
Okay.
family there. Like we would go to Angels and Dodgers games. And my uncle Mike's claim to fame is that he worked with Mike Scioscia, who was a player and a manager. And so he always got inside tickets and like it was great. But anyhow, after the earthquake, um, they were still rebuilding a lot of that stadium's
Mm,
halo and the iconic parts of it
got it.
when I went there. And it was just really cool to like see like I wasn't here when this happened, but
Yeah.
I was old enough to understand that like I just recall it being such a
Yeah.
cool new experience, and it was different from anything we'd be able to see here.
Yeah. I want to go to the
Um,
Vegas park once that one's done.
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. That'd be on my list. And who knows? We'll have to doing a whole nother podcast about whatever the Bears are going to decide. You don't even want to get into that right now, but I think I decided after going to this Rams game this past year, it was awesome to be there, but it was just like you said, it, Soldier Field is a mess, man, and like it's a mess on so many levels. Um,
Yeah.
it- you know, and so yeah, football. Nah, I'm gonna go if I'm gonna do a tour of stadiums. It's not gonna be going to Indiana, or it's not gonna be going to Soldier Field again. I mean,
No. No.
new places, new experiences as far as baseball would be the way to go. I wouldn't really care too much about. I've been to Notre Dame, I've been to Indiana,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for
I'm with you, man. I'm with
you
you.
know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, good stuff, man. Why don't we just end the podcast right around here? John, pleasure as always. Really,
thank
really
you
good
again,
talking with
man.
you.
Yeah,
Fun times going through that bracket with you and seeing how we did well or we screwed up. Never we'll never get it right, but
66 points.
fun trying. Yeah, 66 freaking points. I think that's probably the lowest I scored in all my brackets this
And
year.
hey, and it was through our podcast. And hey, if we got to be in a category, that's all right. It's
It's all right.
low scoring, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna end the record here. Till next time, fans, and thank you for listening to I called that episode 6.
Thank
Talk to
you,
you soon.
everybody.
Ciao.